Namaste, Om Sai Ram. We are continuing the series today on the life of Baba's Mahabhakta Anna Sahib Gavankar. And in this very important book, A Jewel of Sai Devotion, there are some satsangs of Dr. Anna that were recorded and are put in pointer form. So, one of the beautiful jewels he's left with us is titled Love for God. And I will discuss this with Gautamji today. So, Gautam, firstly, thank you for your time as always.
Thank you, Nick.
So, Gautam, if you don't mind, I can just read a few excerpts from this pointer.
Sure.
So, Anna says, everything happens according to God's will. Ordinary jivas are crushed between the grinding stones of calamities and difficulties. However, at the same time, calamities and adversities become the reason for their upliftment and spiritual progress. How could the world be without crises and calamities? Birth and death are the two catastrophes, though not unexpected. For those who cannot escape the cycle of birth and death, calamities are inevitable. It is true that the world is full of sorrow. Every jiva has to experience sorrow, although nobody wants it. So, Gautam, it's quite a big pointer, but on this excerpt, something that comes to mind is when we see so much suffering all around, in most cases, we feel this will never happen to us. We see old age, the perils of old age. We see so much suffering, but still, the hypnosis of so called pleasures of life are such that even to pause and reflect that tomorrow I may become old and I may have even bodily suffering doesn't occur to many people until it's too late. So, if you could speak on that, please.
You see, that is what this pointer, love for God, what does it imply? It implies not love for what is the opposite, which basically means what the material world is. Love for the material world, pleasures will lead to pain. It is transient, short-lived, fleeting. So, we are coming back to what Anna Sahib is pointing to in love for God. As you said, we know it, we see others suffering. We don't feel it because we never think it's our story. In the Bible it says, love thy Lord with all thy heart and love thy neighbor as thyself. Why is this emphasis being put on love? It is a very important point because the nature of consciousness is love. Let me explain this. If we realized that there is only one self, all there is consciousness, can consciousness hate itself? So if consciousness has the realization, which actually it doesn't need, I'm just using words, that all there is consciousness, a master like Baba said that all the time. The nature of consciousness is love. So love is actually fundamental. Love for God. Not love for certain people in my life who are closer to me and who make me happy. That is a conditional love. That is a dualistic love. Love for God actually means love for all. More importantly, love for God means love for what I consider something beyond this material life I am living. The higher ideal, the Parabrahman, the Supreme, because that is eternal. So my love is for that. So if I may read out something from here, which I had marked. Love teaches sacrifice. A heart full of love is ready even to sacrifice life. Nick, this I am reminded in Autobiography of a Yogi, of the seeker who was in search of Mahavatar Babaji. And after going through all those mountain passes and eventually finding him with his Sanghis, Babaji says, go and jump off the cliff. And without hesitation, he does that. And then he is brought back to life. That can only happen with love. What a test of love was that. I mean, can you imagine? So, this sacrifice, which is being mentioned here, love teaches sacrifice because you're doing it for the other, not for yourself. Love helps conquer oceans of calamities. Love makes the mind firm and determined. Love makes life noble. When spiritual inclination rises to great heights, it is love. And the next step is devotion. And what is love? Love is God. God is love personified. I think this sums it all up. I can't even explain these words actually. What is there to explain? Love is God. Love is God, full stop. That is all that needs to be said. Earlier in the pointer, Anna Sahib says, what God wants from you is only one thing, and that is love. Love God to the utmost more than anything else. So, as I said, definite relationship with Sai Baba means a defining relationship, and love for God being the utmost is defining it. So, we can see how all the dots are connected, and it is being offered as pointers in different ways. Earlier we spoke about knowledge. Now we have come, what could be the opposite of knowledge in a sense is love. It is the same thing, because divine knowledge, divine wisdom, and imbibing and understanding that would bloom and flower as love, not as separation.
The other aspect of this, Gautam, is as one goes further down the path of bhakti, there arises a yearning in the devotee's heart to be more immersed in bhakti and not be so engaged in mundane pursuits of the world. Not running away from one's karma, but since you mentioned Autobiography of a Yogi, I remember there was a very beautiful prayer in that where he encouraged the aspirant to pray to God with a yearning heart that free me from my worldly duties so that I may be more immersed in your meditation, in your love. And if that prayer is sincere, then that is granted. So I felt that is the other aspect also, that in bhakti, when one tastes it, one would want more of that. And of course, there is this aspect of seeing Baba and all. There is no, because see, you cannot reach that stage in the first place if you don't see Baba and all.
Exactly.
But there comes a stage in devotion where the mundane pursuits, like even in your case, sometimes you would mention to me that, with your work and, the business, there's this yearning to go more into the teaching, and that also is destined at its time. But see, that yearning arises at some point.
Yes.
Where mundane engagements don't appeal so much. And in fact, Ramakrishna Dev would also say, that if you move away from the world, you're moving towards God. When you're going from A to B, when you're going away from B, then you're going towards in the opposite direction. So one aspect I also see, Gautam, I'm not sure if Anna has mentioned it, is as one is immersed in bhakti throughout the day, then engaging in activities that are contrary to that or in parallel, then it's like, you're filling your pitcher and you have left the tap open.
Yes.
That syndrome.
It's like, to give you an example, recently at one of my talks, Sai Baba Bhakt has been attending them, and he said, and he's an industrialist in the mundane world. He said, I can no longer bear conversations discussing politics, and he said, I just get up and leave. So I asked him that, do you do it out of disgust or you have a reaction to that? He said, no, I'm done with that. So I said, what is your question? His question was, will I be estranged from society if I do that? I said, yes. But what does this show me? That he is immersed in bhakti. So the mundane has no hold over him now. He, of course, has to operate as an industrialist, which he must be doing. But like you were saying, you start moving away from that which is no longer vibrating at your frequency. And that can only happen when there's love for other than that. This love for God, you see, we have to explore it from all aspects. That I am clear, I don't love this conversation, right? This mundane conversation between two people discussing.
It doesn't resonate.
It doesn't resonate. So my love does not stay there, so I want to move away from it. So where is my love? My love is away from that. I'd rather go home, sit by myself or with someone whose company I enjoy. My love is there. You see, so while love for all is fine, that's why I asked him, are you doing it with any reactivity or disgust? He said, no. That bridge has now been crossed. So this will happen. This love for God will be expressed in our behavior, how we are as beings throughout the day. And yes, you are quite right, because there's no point in me denying it, that eventually one wants to move away from the mundane.
See, especially, like for example, if you sit in meditation or you sit in japa, you do your sadhana and you begin to experience the bliss, devotees like Anna speak of. It's but natural. You want more of that.
Yes.
But I also feel like I can put myself, say, in the shoes of a student or someone hearing this talk, that see, I'm inundated with so many things. And you guys are sitting here talking about all this stuff. So, this is categorically mentioned in Autobiography for Yogi. And when you mentioned it, I thought it's very important that even for that you pray, because it will happen in its time. But yes, the prayer God may answer if it's sincere. It's not a fleeting prayer. You see, it's not like, oh, it's a whim and fancy, I don't want, it's no escapism here. But when that tadup or yearning is there, that is answered. And then you'll see in time these things fall away that don't resonate. And automatically then one goes further into the path. And that also I feel is the Guru's grace, which, there's that one beautiful line that sums it up. Guru Kripa Hi Kevalam. That is, the Guru's grace is totality.
I am reminded, like we said for the youth, let's say you have a job, you have to work to earn a living and all that. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi said something very pertinent, that whenever you are working, tell yourself, I am not working, it is the current doing the work through me. So when this shift happens, there's a remembrance of that, which is love, right? So it is very pragmatic also, that while the ichcha, while the yearning is there to move away from the mundane, but while you're in it, while you're in this whole thing, this is the way you navigate through it. There's a way, it's not only suffering. And whatever your goals are, whatever ultimately your spiritual goals are, where you feel your peace and harmony lies, by and by you walk and work towards it. But can you see the breadth of these pointers? Whether it is knowledge, love for God, non-doership, attitude, these are all my favorite topics.
Absolutely. And when you mentioned that at 8 o'clock you read every day, I have known you for 17 or 18 years. I would say you're quite nitpicky with what you read.
Yeah.
So the fact that you read this book and, I can tell like it must have really meant something to you because see, with the Satcharit and so many other literary works on Baba, of Baba that I've shared with you over the years, I have not got a response such as to this.
That is very true.
Yeah.
And I must admit it.
And see, in all humility, okay, just for publishing sake, I've put the name here. I can't even say I've compiled it. I can go to the extent of saying not one word in this is written. It happened.
Yes.
See, the Leelas happened. Doctor's son, Dr. Sainath, we were graced to meet him through that email. The records were made. The pointers, from nowhere did that book arise, Prabhav Shri Sayancha, which had these jewels in Marathi. And, this inspiration arose that all this needs to be compiled because, see, Anna Sahib himself was a very, very humble man. Imagine he never mentioned in his life about the
Pran Pratishtha.
Pratishtha happening. So I said, while his writings, like Shirdi Che Sai Baba, Shiladi, and the other books, are very beautiful, his own life story is very relevant to us today. And he would never speak about. So that's how it just came together, all ordained by Baba.
No, it's really strange because, as you said, because I'm also reading manuscripts and other submissions and other books, and you have sent many books my way. One, of course, the Sai Gyaneshwari really deeply impacted me. And this, I don't know, it's so clear to me that it was not something I did. I think Baba gave me one stick from the back and said, tell Nikhil that, we have to speak about this. And I read it in one shot. And that the Sakshatkar Darshan chapter really, I felt, was a golden chapter in the book. There are other aspects I've underlined. At some point we can look at them, but I think this is really something fresh which is available, and there's a reason it is being made available now. And I would sincerely request any devotee of Sai Baba's, whether you are a beginner, whether you are advanced, wherever you are in your journey with Baba, this book will surely enable. These are enablers. They are facilitators towards the light. And reading this, there will be a lot of insights one can glean from them. That is what I feel, that is what has moved me to go in depth into this particular book.
Even for the work, the pointer Anna said to his daughter left a very deep mark. I have not done the Pran Pratishtha, Baba has done it through me. So that applies to everything in life for all of us.
Yes, all the time.
All the time. If we can only remember that, that it is His grace and His. That's why Baba says, no, God is the doer. We are only the instrument. So with that, Gautam, I would like to complete this series and thank you so very much for your time. And I pray that, we can have more time with you and continue. Like, for example, one of these pointers, which I mentioned earlier, in itself warrants a series. So, yeah, by Baba's grace, may that work continue.
Yes, and if it is well received and we get positive feedback from a fellow group, community, then it will be an encouragement to do so.
Well, whether it comes or no, my attitude is we have to do it. So, wonderful.
Om Sai Ram.
Om Sai Ram. Om Sai Ram.